Hey guys, this is the first video that I have my voice on, and this is my Premier League's predictions for the 2019-2020 season. So let's just get into it, and I'm playing Pacey Bits in the background. So that's for, I don't know. So let's go from bottom to top. So in 20th, I have put Sheffield United, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people have put them in because, well, I think they're a pretty shocking team to get into the Premier League. I didn't really watch them in the Championship last season, but I know Billy Sharp's pretty good. But I don't think they have the team to be not relegated from the Premier League. I don't. Maybe they'll get relegated this season, then get promoted next season. Then I think they stay up in the 2022 season. But I've gone for 20th this season for them. So in 19th, just above them, I have put Burnley. Burnley, last season, I predicted them to come 6th, which was a very, very bad decision. But I think they came maybe 15th last season, which I thought was pretty shocking because they came 7th the season before that. So so I've predicted them to come relegated this season. I don't really know why. Just thought they'd come 19th. And then in 18th, I've put Newcastle. So do they have Rafa Benitez? I think they don't have Rafa Benitez in there. But I think they come 18th because I don't think they've signed no, they got rid of Perez, They signed Saint Maximum from Lyon, and that's all I know pretty much. But getting rid of Perez, he was their top goal scorer last season. I don't think they can do it this season. I think they came about mid-table last season. But this season, I've put them getting relegated. 18th, just getting relegated. And in 17th, escaping relegation, I've put Southampton. Last season, I thought they were going to get relegated, but they did not. I don't know where they came last season. I think they come maybe in the 14th or 15th position, somewhere near there. But this season, I think they're going to get relegated now. No, not going to get relegated. They're just going to be above relegation. And above them, in 16th, I have put Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton, in the last game of the season between Man City, Brighton were 1-0 up, and then they choked it and lost 4-1, which I'm not really fussed about. I'm not a Liverpool fan. I don't really support any Premier League teams. But, of course I wanted Brighton to win because it'd be interesting and it'd be so dramatic to see Liverpool win. But obviously they didn't. But Brighton's team now, who'd they sign? I don't really know, to be honest. So I've just put them in 16th. And then in 15th, I have put Aston Villa. Newly promoted team. And they're Aston Villa. Who have they signed? They've not got Tammy Abraham anymore. He was a big player last season for them. So I think they would, if they kept Tammy Abraham, I think they'd be higher in the league. Maybe 13th or 12th, but I've put them in 15th. Solid position for a newly promoted team. So that's alright, I guess. And in 14th, I've put West Ham. Don't really know why. I don't really know. It's 14th position was a hard one for me to pick because there's so many teams like West Ham. They're the exact same. It's hard to separate them to say who's better or not. So I've just put West Ham in 14th, and in 13th I've put Crystal Palace. They almost got rid of Zaha. They might get rid of Zaha in the January transfer window. I was thinking about that a lot while making this. About the January transfer window, what's going to happen, or what's most likely going to happen. I use that knowledge to predict this league, so they might get rid of Zaha in the January transfer window. I think that's going to happen. Anyway, so I put them in 13th. And in 12th, I predicted Bournemouth. I mean, Bournemouth is another average team. Just another one of those mid-table teams. 12th, yeah, that's probably where Bournemouth belong. 11th, I've put Leicester. Now, looking back on it, I might switch it around, but I'll just keep Leicester there. Yeah, they signed Perez from Newcastle, as I mentioned before. That's pretty much all I know. And in 10th, I've put Watford. This is the exact middle of the table. And Watford, I think they're a solid team. But the teams above them, I think they're more solid than Watford. But Watford, last season they got to the FA Cup final. They had some shockers of a game. They had some shocking games where they absolutely stunned some big teams. And they came I don't know where I think they came 8th or 7th, somewhere like there. But I put them in 10th, which is relatively near there, but a little bit lower. But I'm sure Watford would be happy with a 10th position. And in 9th, I put in Norwich, which is the other newly promoted team. And I think they're going to come 9th above mid-table, ahead of Watford, because I just think Pukki is actually an insane god. He is. That's what I think of him anyway. He got the best player at the championship last season, and there's been 2 match days in the Premier League. 2 match days in the Premier League, and Pukki is already the top goal scorer, I think, with 4 goals in 2 games. Yeah, the rest of the Norwich's team is pretty solid with Tim Krul in goal. Yeah, it's pretty solid. So in 9th position, I think a newly promoted team will be very happy with that. And 8th place, I have put in Everton. 8th is probably where Everton come every season. Every season, they always come around that position. So I put them in 8th. And in 9th, I'm losing my voice while talking so fast. Never mind. In 7th, I've put in Wolves. Now, Wolves came 7th last season, and they have a really solid team. That's probably why they shocked us all from coming 7th. I predicted them to come 16th last season. But 7th, I think they won't upgrade or downgrade their position. I think they'll just stay in the same place, which I think that they will be happy with. And above them, now the top 6, you always have the top 6 teams in there. Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, and Man City. They're the top 6 teams in the Premier League. So you pretty much everyone puts them in the top 6. So in 6th, I've gone for Chelsea. Now, I was considering of putting Chelsea maybe in 8th or something. But that's because they didn't sign anyone. They had a transfer ban. But then I thought of the January transfer window, where I think they're going to go ham in the January transfer window because of going into the Champions League and coming 3rd in the Premier League. They must have got a lot of money from that, and they probably have still a lot of money left to spend for the January transfer window. So I think maybe mid-season, maybe at Christmas, they'll be in mid-table. And then in January, they'll sign good players. And then they'll, get better and come 6th. Which is unfortunate for Chelsea. But, yeah, maybe next season they'll do even better. And in 5th, I've put Manchester United. Now, I've thought about these next 3 positions probably really hard, because very hard to decide. And it's very hard to predict the Premier League because you have no clue what's going to happen. Who knew that Leicester was going to win the 15-16 season? Nobody did. It's really hard to predict the Premier League. So, Man United in 5th. They signed a few good players. They signed Wan-Bissaka and Maguire. But their strike force I don't think is good enough. They have Martial and Rashford and Alexis Sanchez, who I don't even think is going to play. I don't think they can do it with strike forces like Liverpool strike force or Man City strike force. I don't think they can compete with that. So 5th, Europa League, not Champions League. Some solid position, I guess. But yeah, 5th for Man United. And now the top 4 where you get Champions League. Well, if you come 4th, I think you have to qualify. So in 4th place, I've gone with Arsenal. So last season, I predicted Arsenal to come 7th. But they signed a lot of good players, which I predicted the Premier League before that. So, I mean, that's just not my fault. But Arsenal signed really good players like Pepe and Ceballos from Real Madrid. So 4th, I think, is where they will come. And in 3rd, Tottenham, which is probably where everyone put Tottenham. It's definitely the top 3 is probably the same teams, to be honest. So Tottenham in 3rd, and now the top 2 teams. These 2 teams are definitely the 2 best teams in the Premier League, and they'll both be how do I put it, like, they'll both like confuse people's minds or make people think harder of who's going to win the Premier League. Well, if you support one of the teams, then you're probably going to put the team you support in first because you probably want them to win. But I don't support any Premier League team, so I have based this off, well, I mean, what their team's like. I looked at their teams, very solid teams. Last season, I predicted Liverpool to win the Premier League, but as we know, 1 point gap between them. These are very, very close, very close. But I've predicted Manchester City to win the Premier League this season. I don't think Liverpool could do it. As much as I want Liverpool to win, I don't think they can do it. Liverpool haven't signed anyone that good or that big of a name. I don't know who they signed, actually. But Man City, they signed good players. Pretty good. Well, they only signed Cancelo, actually. That's pretty much the only player they've signed. But in the January transfer window, I think Man City will sign more, and maybe Liverpool will sign more. We don't know what's going to happen in the January transfer window. So, yeah. So, that is my Premier League predictions. Oh, no, actually it's not. I've also predicted the PFA Player of the Year, the young PFA, the top goal scorer, the most assists, and the most clean sheets. So, the PFA... Oh, no, let's go from the worst to the best. So, most clean sheets, I've gone with Ederson or Man City. Very, if Man City are coming first, surely you gotta have the most clean sheets, right? So I just put Ederson. And the most assists, I've put Pepe from Arsenal. Just because he'll probably be like the Mesut Ozil of giving Aubameyang or Lacazette the ball to score, so he'll get a lot of assists. So I think he's going to get the most assists this season. And the top goal scorer, that's a pretty big one. So I've put 2 players drawn for the top goal scorer. I don't know if that's like, I don't really count as that cheating, but I mean, if you want to count that as cheating, then fine. But I've put 2 players. I've put Aubameyang and Pukki drawn on the same amount. So Pukki's a bit of an interesting one, but I think Pukki will just score against like the low tier teams like Sheffield United or Burnley or Brighton. I think he'll score a lot of goals, and he's already top goal scorer. He's already scored. He has a 2-goal average of each game he plays, which is, I mean, only two games. So you don't know what might happen to him. He might get injured. But Aubameyang as well. Aubameyang was the top goal scorer last season. I think he can do it again. He has Pepe to assist him now, which is even better. So yeah. And the PFAs. Let's go with the young PFA Player of the Year. So, well, I originally put Pepe, the Arsenal one, because he's going to get the most assists, and I think he's going to be really good this season. And the young PFA Player of the Year, but he is not my choice because he might be too old to win it, because he is 24 right now. I think you have to be 20. The max is 24 to win the Young Player of the Year. I think that is. But he turns 25 on the 29th of May, 2020. And I don't know when the awards get announced. They might be on the 1st of June, and that means Pepe's too old. But will they base it on the whole season, where Pepe was just 24 for the whole season? I don't know. So if it is Pepe, then, well, I'm just taking that as a correct guess. But if he's not allowed to win it, then I've put Pulisic from Chelsea, because Chelsea have signed no one. They've got rid of David Luiz and Hazard. I think Pulisic's going to be doing all the work for Chelsea, and he's going to get the Young PFA Player of the Year award, I think. And the PFA Player of the Year, in my opinion, will be Sergio Aguero. It was really close between some players. The top 3 players, it was close for. It was close from me choosing Aguero, Salah, and Van Dijk. I was like, the 3 of them, I didn't know who to choose from, but I chose Aguero in the end. I don't know who. It's very hard to predict the PFA Player of the Year, but I predicted Aguero. So that is my full Premier League predictions for the 1920 season for the Premier League. If you did like it, then leave a like, and don't forget to comment, just whatever, I don't know. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.